Hello, everybody.
You haven't been Irish
back.
for like three episodes, and now all of a sudden. Hello.
Well, Grant's back. He got his tooth fixed. We're very happy. We were all alone last week, Daryl and I. Welcome back. This is Grant, Daryl, and Cynthia of Raika Technologies and the Raika Show. Today, Daryl was like, I don't know what we should talk about. We should just like search the internet and do like random thoughts on the latest news and technology today. So that's what we're doing.
That shows you how out of ideas we are.
Yeah. So we're calling it Random Postulations. I'm going to add some weird echo or something to that. All right. So ready, set, go.
So this one's Grant. Grant's already seen it. He's already worried. A nearly impossible to remove Android malware has infected 45,000 devices. So, Grant, are you one of them?
Do you have a condom on your phone?
I found out.
I don't know. I haven't. I've just looked at the headlines. I haven't looked at details.
That's kind of a sensationalist headline. 45,000 devices. Is that a lot, relatively speaking?
No, but no. I don't think the point is how many devices. I think the point is that you can't get rid of this. Even doing a full clean reboot of the OS, reinstall and everything doesn't get rid of this malware.
Oh, I'm infected.
That's what she said.
Oh, God.
And apparently it hasn't really done anything other than show some ads. So it seems like maybe it's sort of a proof of concept.
Don't we all have that on every device and every app and every device? I mean, I see ads all the time, but I have an iPhone.
Yeah, but...
Oh, that's not what you meant.
That's not what I meant, no. It's called the X-Helper Trojan.
The what?
The X-Helper Trojan. Do you have Malwarebytes or Symantec on your
I have Avast.
Okay. Well, they don't mention that, so you're probably screwed.
Avast. Ooh, hey, here's one. Facebook, let's see, this is on CNN Business. Facebook agrees to pay fine over Cambridge Analytica.
But wasn't it something like $500,000?
Hold on, I'm looking. $645,000 penalty imposed by the UK Information Commissioner's Office.
That'll show them.
Wow.
Facebook take up several seconds to
and
that back.
Facebook is definitely going to stop doing what they've been doing.
Facebook will not admit to any liability under the settlement. Sheesh, Pete. So Facebook allowed other people to use your data in a way that you never agreed to for years and years and years. And now they're going to essentially get what's not even a slap on the wrist.
My understanding is that that Facebook actually was fighting that, which...
They were last year, and now they've just given in, I guess is what the story was saying.
Why would you fight 640,000?
That's my point. Why did they even fight it at all? Why didn't they go, 600,000? Okay, well, here you go.
It was negotiated down?
Well, that's a really... Well, no, they said... Hold on, let me go find that story.
And then my next question is, why was it only $600,000? Does someone in the UK government think that's a lot of money? We should stick it to them for 600,000.
It's pounds, not dollars. Okay, so that's a little more.
No, it's actually 500,000 pounds. Okay, here we go. Where is it?
Yeah, was it 500,000 pounds, $600,000 kind of thing?
Yeah.
Have to go with less hookers and cocaine this week. I'm
sorry.
600.
All right, here we go. Okay, so, all right, the fight between Facebook and the UK government's data regulator over Cambridge Analytica has come to an end. Facebook agreed to the £500,000 or $645,000 penalty, which found the company failed to safeguard user data gathered by political data firm Cambridge Analytica. Facebook does not admit to any liability under the settlement. So again, it's not even a slap on the wrist. It's literally like...
cost of doing business.
Yeah, and not even that. I mean, in the time that we've spent looking this up, they've made more money than that.
Yep.
Let's see. The regulator issued the small fine last year, but Facebook appealed the ruling. But both Facebook and the ICO announced Wednesday that the settlement has been reached. Facebook and CEO Mark Zuckerberg have been under intense scrutiny. 87 million Facebook users' personal data was used for these purposes.
Not even $1 a person.
Not even $1. Not even close.
My guess is that the original penalty did not include what's the terminology? Facebook is admitting no guilt or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they fought it.
Yeah, because they said we don't want this to be like on our record.
Right.
It's like we're giving you some money to go away.
Even though everybody on the planet knows they did it.
Facebook's associate general counsel said in a statement that the company wished it had done more to investigate claims about Cambridge Analytica in 2015 and that it has made major changes. Protecting people's information and privacy is a top priority for Facebook. And we are continuing.
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't. And we are continuing to build new controls to help people protect and manage their information.
No, they haven't. No, they don't.
And then the UK dudes came out and said, we are pleased to hear that Facebook has taken and will continue to take significant steps to comply with the fundamental principles of data protection.
Translation, we got paid.
Yeah, and that's all we care about.
Right.
We don't care about the 87 million users whose personal data was used in a way that they never... Look, folks, like we said in the Great Hack episode, a few weeks back, last month, whenever that was, if you put it on the internet, it's out there. Like you got to understand, you can never get it back. It's out there, and you've got to understand that even with I'm putting privacy settings in quotes, your data's out there and it can be used. And I mean, this all happened back in 2014, 2015. It's 4 years later. Mm-hmm. So not only does that $650,000 matter zero to Facebook, it's taken them 5 years to get it.
Yeah.
So all that time, who knows what's been happening? And was Cambridge Analytica the only one?
Oh, no, almost certainly not. No.
Are there others now?
There are almost certainly others now. It's just that they've figured out how to hide better.
Right.
Wouldn't surprise me if one of them isn't behind this virus that Grant has on his Android phone right now.
Not good.
I thought concerning Facebook, interesting thing that I've been seeing over the last week or so is because they state their stated policy on the fact checking now, especially that we're getting closer and closer to elections, is that they will remove ads with lies in them unless the ad is actually put out by a candidate. Then they can say whatever they want. So a California millionaire took out some ads saying that Mitch McConnell and somebody else were for the new Green Deal. And Facebook, after a few days, removed those ads saying those are provable lies. And so now the same guy has registered to run for governor of California, and he's going to put the ads up again.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. My gosh.
Because they're basically trying to say your policy's unworkable.
Yeah.
This is not, if you're going to fact check, you just got to take things down that are false, regardless of who puts them out.
Yeah.
But this guy's throwing some money into, I'm going to show you this is like ridiculous what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, you need to do something different.
And that's specifically a Facebook policy.
I'm wondering that too.
Yeah, it was just because all, it's been up in the air over the last year or two about fact checking and where the sources are and fake news. That was they recently had come out with this was their policy defined, was they were not going to allow stuff that was provably false out there. But if it's actually put on by a candidate, they could say whatever they want. True, false,
And why does the distinction about a candidate? What is that?
I think their argument from a legal standpoint is let the FEC handle that.
Well, what happened from what the article said was they got a lot of pressure over the last year or so that they were showing political bias against candidates,
which they do. There's no doubt.
So this was like okay, we're going to back off basically and let you say whatever you want to say so that you don't say that we're censoring you.
And they wrap it in, it's free speech. And to a degree, they're not wrong. But like Grant said, you can't have it both ways. You can't. I
just thought that was funny, the way that they're trying to slice this. And there's a guy out there saying, okay, I'm gonna call you on this then.
Yeah.
I'll play your game.
Yeah.
And we're gonna keep pushing until you define this in some way that it has
actually
to be
makes
enforced
sense
for everybody.
Because the other aspect of that is, to me, that touches on the whole idea around free speech of, we don't have completely free speech in this country. You can't go into a theater and yell fire, for example, as the example I always use.
And you actually, you can't use TV airwaves to advertise false things either. Can you? That there are laws against false advertising.
Well, there's laws against false advertising, but a lot of laws that are against all this stuff don't apply to politicians.
Well, it doesn't apply to shows themselves.
Shows,
because there was a landmark case where Fox was able to say we are an entertainment program. And so they were just flat out black and white. The court ruled that they can say whatever they want, even if it's a lie. They can say it's a headline that this person, this known figure did this, and they didn't. And nobody can sue them for saying that.
Wow. So even the media
Apparently.
doesn't have to tell the truth anymore.
I don't know that they ever actually needed. I don't know that they were actually required ever to tell the truth.
The FCC used to have some teeth.
Yeah.
And there was also a time when all the radio and all the TV and all the newspapers weren't owned by 7 companies now.
Right.
There were all kinds of independent, sources,
Yeah.
all kinds of independent news radio stations, where they'd have 5 guys, on an AM station and 2 reporters, Les Nessman.
Yeah.
But yeah, with all the buyouts in media, I think that's changed that to be more like it's less than it's purposeful communication instead of just reporting.
Huh.
But I just go into the headlines. I saw that yesterday and I was like, so now the guy's registered to run for governor and he's going to put his ads back up and say, you can't take them down now.
Because I'm the governor. Actually, I think there was something on here about that. Let me go see. Yeah, man running for office so he can run false Facebook ads. Adriel Hampton, a political activist who registered to run for governor of California so he could run false ads on Facebook, hopes his stunt will encourage Facebook to change its policy. Oh, it's a video. I don't want to watch a video.
Yeah, we've already got in trouble with you and your videos today.
I know. Sorry.
And I like that, he's even acknowledging it's a stunt.
Yeah.
I like that more so than when somebody tries to actually clothe it in righteousness.
Yeah.
I'd rather have somebody say, yeah, I'm poking.
Right.
So, let's see. The company is barring him from doing this, and the man told CNN Business he's now considering legal action.
Yep.
He's registered as a candidate for California's 2022 gubernatorial election, so he could take advantage of Facebook's policy allowing politicians and political candidates to run false ads. On Tuesday evening, a Facebook spokesperson blah, 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 told CNN this person has made clear he registered as a candidate to get around our policies, so his content, including ads, will continue to be eligible for third-party fact-checking. Who are their third-party fact-checkers?
That's a different list.
That's a whole different.
You can look that up, but I think that's bullshit. Your policy is, well, you're following the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law. Screw that. He's going to win in court.
Yeah, Hampton told CNN they've made a policy specific to me, and I am running for California governor to regulate Facebook. I'm going to look at suing them. I will immediately seek all available legal options.
I predict he'll win.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
$640,000.
I was just going to say he's going to win $640,000 off of Facebook.
Nah, California courts are probably a lot more dollar awarding than
the UK courts.
Those tight-fisted Brits.
That's right. It's exactly right. Oh my gosh.
When they're white wigs.
All right, let's go to CNET News and see what they got going on.
This is interesting, though.
What?
Wildfire victims don't have cell service thanks to greedy telecoms.
Ooh, what does that say?
If it's anything like what happened last time with Verizon, the firefighters racked up a giant bill because, they need to communicate during these wildfires. And so Verizon said, either pay your bill right now or we're cutting off your service. And they're like, we can't pay our bill. We're busy trying to protect people's lives and their property. And so Verizon goes, okay, well, we're shutting you off then.
Is that what happened here?
And it looks like this is just more of the same.
I mean, come on, folks. Like, for how long now have companies been putting out commercials that are not designed to necessarily sell a product, but to show how much they care about their communities? Like Budweiser does that all the time. Dawn soap does that all the time when they're, with the oil spills and cleaning the baby ducks and all that. I mean, yeah. And seriously, you can't be lenient with people during a crisis?
Right.
I mean, that's just bad business. We talked a few weeks ago on Incubate This about work culture. That is a work culture problem.
There's laws about stuff like that. It just isn't a law about this yet, but it's like emergency services. They have to kind of say, hey, when their lives are in danger, we got to do what we got to do. And then after the fact,
then we'll figure out
try to
the rest.
Sort it out. But yes, there's going to be a law about this. I betcha.
I don't necessarily agree with
I also wonder,
them creating a law, but
what the hell was wrong with walkie-talkies?
Well,
they're heavier, I'm sure. They're heavier and bulkier, and these guys are already carrying around a lot of weight already.
They used to be heavy and bulky, but with new technology, I bet they can make them cell phone size with no problem.
Oh, they could. It's just that nobody is because we have cell phones.
Doesn't Sprint used to have, and maybe some other companies do, they had that little
chirp chirp.
Yeah, chirp chirp button.
They stopped making those.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure they stopped making those.
Because that used to be like a walkie-talkie type direct connection, and distance didn't matter.
Right. It just didn't matter. You didn't get charged extra fees because it used probably the walkie-talkie type network.
Sure.
But these smartphones are so ubiquitous now that I'm sure that companies that manufactured those said, nobody wants those anymore, so we're going to stop making them.
Interesting.
But to your point, Grant, maybe there's a market for some company. Now they're going to be expensive because it's going to be a low volume thing, but maybe some company can come out, with something like that for firefighters, like you said, that's small and compact and lightweight, and all it does is allows them to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Now the other thing about those is it was single duplex, which means it's sort of, hey, I'm on this ridge over.
Yeah.
And, whereas what they have now is full duplex.
Right.
So they would need to figure that out too, I'm sure. Because
I'm kind of surprised they're not outfitted. You look at the military stuff now, you see in some of those movies, like the killing of Bin Laden or whatever, they look like Star Wars.
Yeah.
They've got these helmets on with all kinds of gizmos, and they've got their little microphones and stuff is all built in. You almost think firefighters would have the same things these days.
Yeah. Huh.
And maybe it's just that they don't have the money the military has. The military's got
a
ton of money, compared to.
Yeah.
And that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It would be cool to be able to outfit public servants that way.
Yeah.
Well, they do it with the police as far as the vehicles. That's when I hear we don't have money to go around, and I see every cop in town driving an $80,000 decked out Explorer. There's money.
Yeah.
In the city somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's just with firefighters, they, when they're on, they're on.
A lot of fire departments are volunteer.
And they're volunteer, whereas with police, it's constant
is a public service.
It's a public service.
Yeah.
But also, police have to deal with something every day, whereas firefighters, they're off a lot of the year.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's out of people's minds most of the year.
Do firefighters really rescue like kittens and stuff? I mean, I think
they do, yes.
I saw a video the other day of a dog that had gotten stuck in like a pile of rubble in a construction or a demolition zone or whatever. And a firefighter had brought like a bag of meat and was sort of like enticing the dog to be comfortable with him by giving him like little scraps of meat and petting him and loving on him so that he could pick him up and get him out, because he wasn't letting anybody pick him up because he was scared.
Right.
Which is like all, heartwarming. Yeah, that the thing about the telecom company, the market will respond to that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that this is where the capital system actually works, which is if enough people hear that story and realize they have that provider and they have another option, they might take the other option.
And I think that's the problem we're in right now is there's not a great alternative option.
There's not?
No, not really. Not for let's just call this broadband, right? Because
Yeah.
this is effectively, they're no different. These telecoms are no different from Comcast, the ISPs, right? They all control the wires because even if you're on a cell phone, pretty quickly that signal goes to something, to a cell station that now everything's going over a wire, right?
Yeah.
Well, to my mind, with what SpaceX is doing with their satellite system, their satellite internet, that's going to be the first real major competitor to all these. That's going to be when people can go, screw you, I'm going with someone else.
Yeah, this is a problem related to infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
Because every company and every new company or old company that no longer exists or new company that will exist can't go lay all new cable.
Right.
So they rent, lease, whatever from the people who own the lines.
Right.
Right? The people
Now,
who put it in originally.
Right. And my proposal just now isn't a whole lot different because not everybody can go put 4,000, 20,000 satellites up in the sky either. No. I tried last week.
I have mine scheduled to start launching next month.
Yeah. So good luck with that. But at least there will be some competition.
Yeah.
And the other problem with this is the telecoms and the ISPs have been making promises to the government. If you let us do this for free, or if you give us this bandwidth for free, or this whatever for free, then we will invest hundreds of millions of dollars and blah, blah, blah. And they never do. They basically take the government's money, take our money.
Yeah.
And nobody ever holds them accountable for it. That's the thing I don't understand is nobody in the government ever goes, you know what? You promised us you would do this. You didn't do it.
Now
you just got federalized.
Right.
You company, we're federalizing you. Hopefully the other guys will see what just happened and they'll go, oh, okay, we're going to start straightening up.
You just got to check and see where those campaign contributions came from.
Yeah.
Sure. That's why they don't.
And that's all.
Yeah.
On a light note, there's a black turtleneck shortage in the Bay Area.
Is that real or are you looking at The Onion?
No, that's Money Magazine.
That doesn't surprise me at all. How many people, tech-wide, but especially in the Bay Area, think I'm going to be just like Steve Jobs and I'm going to dress like him and I'm going to wear his glasses?
Hey, Elizabeth, what's her face? Liar did it.
They want to be.
Yeah, they're trying to be.
They're like, oh,
like
is
him,
that
just like
they
she was
walk
trying to
into
be like
walk into their pitch in Silicon Valley with their startup that has no idea how it's ever going to make money. They put on a black turtleneck and they instantly get funded. Is that like?
Hi, we're a unicorn.
So PetSmart every year does their like donatable. You can buy their stuffed animal or whatever, and usually they have a dog, and usually they have a cat, and then they have like a special one every year. This year it's a unicorn.
Really?
Yeah, I bought a couple of them.
The best part is it's not because of what we said. It's Halloween people. It's for costumes.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
There's a lot of
That's
women
more
who
fun
want to
then.
dress up as Elizabeth Holmes for Halloween.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's why the black turtleneck shortage.
Oh my gosh.
That is hilarious.
That is hysterical. Okay, so tech related. I saw a video yesterday about the new Rolls-Royce concept car.
Yeah.
Completely self-driving. The car itself, the wheels are almost entirely covered, so you can't see them, so it looks super sleek. When you open the door, the whole roof lifts up as well, so that you do not have to bend down to get in and out of the car.
So far, you're describing the Tesla Model X.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen that. But
Okay.
anyway, and then instead of having the boot be like down low, that's what they call that over there, the trunk.
Right.
They actually have custom luggage that you push one of the buttons on the side of the car and it rolls out at hand height.
Really?
So that you can just set it down on the ground. And then you know how Rolls-Royce, their rims have the weighted logo so that it's always upright. The R is always the right way.
Okay. Yeah.
They did that on the luggage too.
And so how much is this?
I don't know. It's a
gonna cost me?
concept.
Oh,
It's a concept
okay.
car right now, but it is the floor is all like hand woven wool carpet. The seats and the pillows and everything inside are all woven, are all like hand spun silk or whatever.
Is it the 103EX?
I have no idea. It looks super, and apparently the way they designed the front, it's designed to look like a yacht when you're driving around in it.
Yeah. It's the we're looking at a picture of it now. That's
what's the model? Tell people what the model is.
I just said it and I forgot. Hold on, let me scroll down. 103EX.
The 103EX. And I don't think this is something that's available. I think it was like a prototype or a production, preview or something like that. But it was really funny watching the video that whoever it was sent to me yesterday, because the lady, like every time she would be talking about something new, she got like super excited. It was so adorable. And then she was talking to the car and she said hello, whatever its name was, and it said, "Hi, I'm blah 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 blah, Rolls Royce, whatever. It looks like you're going to the Met Gala in fundraiser in support of Governor blah blah blah. Is that where you want to go now?" And it like had access to the calendar so that it could see what event it was, and as long as there was an address in there, it would, and I was like, that's really cool.
It is. I mean, there's a picture here of, I think it's the door when you open the door.
Yeah.
And you just push a little button and out slides.
Oh yeah, the two umbrellas.
Yep.
And that compartment where the umbrellas go is heated so that the umbrella dries faster.
Okay.
Yep.
We got to get busy at Raika so I can have one of these.
Your kids aren't allowed to ride in it. If you ever have, M&Ms and chips in the seat of that thing, I'll kill you.
They would just step in it and it would be like Pigpen.
Oh, I know.
Trash everywhere.
Plus it's all white on the inside.
Yeah.
I got an article about executive from SoftBank who had advised them not to invest in WeWork before he left.
What is he saying?
He says cautions against throwing cash at founders. They've got a huge investment in Uber, for instance, that's way underwater. He just sounds like a sane person in that world of unicorns.
Which is probably why he left.
Yeah, I think what's happened is they saw this happen one time with Zuckerberg, and they all think
it can happen.
It can happen again,
over and over and over.
Even though all of the data proved prior to Zuckerberg that they would do the opposite. They would, I don't agree with them kicking out the founder necessarily either, but
what's interesting about WeWork since we did our unicorns podcast. So we had thought that WeWork, where their value was that they were a real estate company. So what we found out is that actually Adam, what's his last name?
Newman, I think.
Neumann, something like that. He had raised all the money to buy all the real estate, bought it all with the funds from the company in his own personal name, and then leased all of the space back to WeWork.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
How is this guy not in jail?
Not only is he not in jail, but now he's almost $2 billion richer.
And he trademarked all the logos and names and everything and was leasing those back to the company as well.
When they bought him out, just last week, they bought him out to the tune of $1.7 billion plus
the $750 million he had already gotten out of the company.
Plus over the next 4 years, something like $185 million as a consulting fee.
How on earth is this guy getting paid for all of this nefarious crap that he lied to investors about?
Not only that, but
can we all just contract to Raika?
Yeah, really. But not only that, they're in such a bad position now that they have to lay off people, and they're estimating 4,000 people. They can't afford to lay them off because they can't afford to pay their severance.
Yeah.
But they just paid him $2 billion.
And I was reading a thing where they were saying that all these people who have been there for a really long time and they had stock options, they were Google, the way that Google created a bunch of millionaires when they went IPO. That's what WeWork was supposed to do, until they realized there's nothing there. And now there's all these people who they were within days of getting payouts and being able to, have justified working for half what they should have for the last 10 years.
Right. And now it's all gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. I mean, I can feel the devastation of that in my body when I even say it.
Yeah. Just
that
imagine these poor people. I mean, it's the look on their face is probably like the
you must
Lehman
walk
Brothers
around. Yeah. You must walk around like
building.
completely stunned.
Yeah.
And just feeling like the world doesn't feel real. Because you lived in an alternate reality for a long time.
I don't remember. There was a podcast I was listening to the other day when, and this was just a few days ago, they asked him about this. I wish I could remember what it was he said. It was so obnoxious. They said, what do you think about this? He basically was saying, this just proves how impactful what we built is. That's what it was. They asked him, what do you think of them paying you almost $2 billion to get out of the company? Well, this just proves how impactful, something like that, right? Just it proves, he's spinning it. He's delusional.
He's completely delusional. Yeah, it was impactful. You screwed a lot of people.
Thousands of people.
Not to mention, so I've talked to a bunch of friends of mine who are investors. And one of the guys still wants to come on the podcast, and we're specifically going to talk about this. But I was asking him, why does an investor look at a company like WeWork and put money into it? When all these things are happening along the way, what is it? And he said, fear of missing out is definitely a piece of it.
Which we talked about.
Like when you follow people who you consider smart money, you feel like that makes it less of a risk.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's going to be really interested over the next year or two if they don't actually prosecute the people who were building pitches and doing pitches and getting money from investors. He'll be really curious why they don't, because either they didn't tell the truth and all the investors are embarrassed and they don't want anybody to know that they got sucked in, or they did tell them the truth and they invested anyway because they figured as long as we get out in the next acquisition, we're fine. So there's
they knew going in that it was a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, did they get in knowing it was a Ponzi scheme, or were they in it, saw that it was a Ponzi scheme, and then they were like, well, as long as I'm not the last one, then I'm okay with that.
Right. Probably some combination of all of that.
I mean, that's messed up.
Yeah.
It's totally messed up.
So here's another one.
It's messed up.
It's messed up. Here's another one. The IRS tried to hide emails that show tax industry influence over the free file program. Are you aware of this?
No.
So basically what happened is the IRS said, we want to make it so that people who just don't have the money to pay for TurboTax can still file their taxes.
Okay.
Makes total sense, right?
Sure.
It's in the IRS best interest. TurboTax, Intuit, all of those companies said, hey, don't do that. We'll do that for you. We'll offer a version of our product for free.
Uh-huh.
And the IRS said, sure, okay. And so then, of course, what happened? All of those companies did do that, and then they unbelievably hid it so that people couldn't find that, yeah, you could actually file your taxes through TurboTax for free.
Uh-huh.
And so now, but to make matters worse, then the tax industry, filing industry has then since been influencing the IRS to continue that process. Basically influencing the IRS to look the other way while they screw out all of these people who can't afford, one could argue, can you really not afford the $39 it costs to file your taxes? But at the same time, if it's $39 versus free,
what you're
for low
saying
income,
is all of these companies that offer online tax filing services.
Yep.
The IRS said we need to come up with a way where people can do it for free if they can afford it. And I'm assuming there's some criteria you have to meet in order to do that. Then all of these other companies, they said, okay, we'll get on board with that. That's good for everybody. We agree.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put it in a place where nobody can find it.
Yep.
Who needs it?
Yep.
And they continue to show one face to the IRS and hide it to everybody else.
Not only
and the
that,
IRS is falling for it.
The IRS not only fell for it, but they're now hiding emails that show that they were basically colluding with these companies on this.
So the IRS did know about it.
Yes.
Oh. Well.
Right.
Yeah. Your tax dollars hard at work, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have one. God recalls time he pulled wings off Angel as a child. This is The Onion. The Onion from the heavens, shaking his head at what a troublemaker he once was. The Lord God, he who commanded light to shine out of darkness, reportedly paused Wednesday to recall a youthful incident in which he dismembered and tortured an angel out of a mix of curiosity and sheer boredom. I was always seeing if I could catch angels, and there was one time I got one, tore his wings off, and watched him writhe on the ground for a while, said God, who cited a litany of other childhood abuses that included dropping angels from extreme heights, dunking them in puddles, and searing them with focused rays of sunlight. I'm certainly not proud of it, but I used to get up to all kinds of mischief in those days, putting a cherub and a seraph in a cage just to watch them fight, stuff like that. What can I say? I had a lot of time on my hands. God went on to state that he's matured quite a bit since then, and that if angels get in his face nowadays, he just swats them away.
So
I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people who could be offended by what I just laughed about. That's The Onion fake news, folks. In case you
purposefully
haven't.
fake news for decades now. I'm curious, you being in a household with someone who loves gadgets and things like that. What's your take on all of the? Because there's about to be this explosion of streaming services. So NBC's coming out with one. HBO is coming out with another one for reasons nobody can understand.
I know.
Disney, Apple.
I know. Here's the problem. Do you remember in the 90s when we all used to say, gosh, can't we just get like cable where we can pick our channels a la carte?
Yep.
Okay. We're a little closer to that, except what we didn't want was to have to pay every channel individually. It was like, let me build a package that makes sense for me and pay one provider.
So what's going to happen is now you're going to be paying HBO for Game of Thrones or whatever. You're going to be paying CBS for Star Trek. You're going to be paying Netflix for whatever. You're going to be paying Disney for, so now you're paying a bunch of different services to watch one show instead of paying one service and getting a bunch of channels you don't want.
Right.
And the research is already starting to show that this is actually pushing people back to pirating again.
Yeah.
Because people are like, I'm not paying $6. And right now it's all like $5.99, $6.99 for all the different services. Why that's going up.
Why would companies like HBO and ABC and Fox and NBC, why would they bother building their own service? Why not just make agreements with the companies that are already out there and already have the people?
They went down that road, for the longest time. That was Netflix, that was Hulu.
Yeah, and Hulu had all the live current stuff, and Netflix had everything that was done on TV. Like, so Grey's Anatomy, for example, that I can still stream live on Hulu as part of my regular thing. I do get 2 commercials now. I mean, it used to be no commercials, and now
you pay and you still get commercials in classic.
I mean, it's one at the beginning and one at the end, and usually I don't have to watch the one at the end.
Yeah,
but still. So it used to be that I would watch the current season as the episodes were released every week on Hulu, and I would get them the day after or whatever. And then all the past seasons, and once the current season closes, then it's all on Netflix. So I can watch it as many times as I want over and over again on Netflix. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense to me.
I think
why do people need something different?
I think it's that they were afraid of the power that Netflix was getting.
What power?
Well, they have hundreds of millions of customers worldwide.
And they are the only ones in the last 15 years that I've been a customer of them and everybody else who's come along that hasn't raised my rate ever.
Right. Well, no, Netflix has raised their rate quite a bit. Quite a bit. Up probably $3 to $4 in the last 5 or 6 years.
Mine hasn't changed.
I started
at $7.99. Oh, you know what? It has gone up twice. It went up to $10.99 and now I'm at $12.99.
It's at 13 something now. My latest bill is at 13.
Yeah. And they grandfathered me in, so I have unlimited streaming, unlimited users, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've been there since the beginning.
But I only do one device.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because sometimes my smart TV, I shut it off and it's not
still doing its thing
long enough.
Yeah.
I grab my phone and I'm like, I want to keep watching that episode. It's like, you have too many devices. No! I have to go unplug it for a second.
Oh,
damn it. disconnect.
I think part of the answer to your question is think about from a technological standpoint, all things considered, how easy it is to build a new streaming service. That's one of the reasons why they're doing it. They're like, we could just do it ourselves.
But again, they're serving their own interests, not serving the interests of the end consumer.
Which is, if you look in the dictionary under Hollywood, that's the definition.
Yeah, I know. Which to your point will eventually end up with the end consumer saying, "Screw you guys, I'm going back to pirating. That's easier, and it doesn't cost me money." Not
to mention, inevitably, what's going to happen?
BitTorrent never raised my rate.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going. There's going to be a company somewhere in like Cyprus who's going to go, I'll give you all this for $1 a month. And everybody's going to go, okay. Because that actually happened back 15 years ago.
Yeah.
There was like MP3 Panda or something.
Yep.
And they were selling you MP3s for 50 cents or 30 cents or some ridiculous. And I'm like, how did they do this? Well, they were based out of Cyprus.
Yep.
They
have no laws.
They had no laws. The companies here that hated it couldn't really get to them. And so it's only a matter of time before some other company does the same thing in some place where we can't get to them, probably somewhere in Africa, right? Where that country's going to go, I don't care.
640,000, that'll stop them.
That'll stop them, yeah. Oh, you just...
Ouch.
Yeah, you just put a big kink in my plan, Grant. I was going to be the guy that went to somewhere in Africa and started the service.
That's a $250,000 joke you just made.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so does this point to... so last week, Daryl and I were talking about how, as far as like medical record keeping goes, technology has not made that situation better. That's an example where technology has made it worse. It has made patient-provider interactions worse. It's made doctors and providers and nurses in hospitals' lives worse. Is this another example where the technology being simple means we've been stupid about how we've used it? And it's going to backfire, isn't it? I mean, are people really going to tolerate $25, $9, $10? I mean,
yes.
Then you've got a way higher bill than your cable bill. So why doesn't it just drive everybody back to cable? Because they just hate it so much?
Well, because the cable's not going to be there because the cable companies are getting into
what's going to happen to the Hallmark Channel?
Right. But think about in the last 10 to 15 years, 20 years, back then, before we had all this streaming, how many people, I don't know about you, but I knew many people who had well over $100 a month cable bills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure.
And didn't think anything of it. It was almost a point of pride. So they're the same people who are going to buy all of these different streaming services for one show on each.
For $10 a month each.
For $10 a month each. And by the way, just like the cable prices kept going up inch and inch every year.
Those are going to go up
Those are going to go up too. They're all cheap now. They're all like $4.99, $5.99, $6, whatever.
It won't stay.
It will not stay that.
Ah, why is entertainment so expensive?
Because people are lazy.
People are lazy. But, one argument against that is we're getting some amazing content these days. Better than, I think, some content. When I say these days, I include days like when The West Wing came out.
Yeah,
but
The Sopranos.
Is still bow, chicka, bow.
Right.
Can we get some new porn music? Jeez.
So a cute joke. Son, what do you want to be when you grow up? A pizza delivery guy or a plumber? Son, you have to stop watching porn. Sorry.
So I don't know. I don't know if that amazing, because it's also easier than it's ever been to make really high quality looking content. So
what's funny is our TVs are all 4K now. We have a friend who just got the new 77-inch OLED. It finally came down enough in price that made sense for him to buy it. And my experience of that is you watch it and it's no longer being in a movie. It's like a bad B movie because everything looks real.
Yeah.
And it's weird because all of a sudden you're looking at people who you feel like you've seen their faces and you've known their names for years and years and years. And now you're seeing all their blemishes.
Yeah.
And it's like they're right there. And there's something about the way that movies, when it's not super high definition, when it's got a little bit of a muddled quality.
Blur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that lets you get lost in, like, the willing suspension of disbelief is easier.
Yeah.
Whereas when it seems like they're right, like you could reach out and like shake their hand and they're being all dramatic about something that you know isn't real, you watch it different. We were watching The Shining last night, okay? So I've read the book, read Dr. Sleep. I now understand why the book is so much different than the movie. And everybody was saying, if you're going to see Dr. Sleep, you have to see The Shining, the movie, because it's different than the book. And I had never seen the movie, so we watched the movie.
Last night was the first time you'd watched The Shining?
First time I'd ever seen The Shining. No.
Okay. I didn't either. First time I watched it was like 6-7 years ago.
And I didn't terrifying.
Think, really?
And the book has some really cute things. You know, there's stuff you can do like in text that you can't really ever communicate. Sure. Like for the first third of the book, Danny thinks presidential suite is something about sugar. Because in his mind, it's SWEET, like sweets, like sugar. And so he's like, I don't know why she keeps calling it the presidential suite, SWEET. So whenever he talks about it, that's how it's written out in the book.
But you can't translate that to a movie. No. It's just not possible.
So I get that. I don't understand some of the diversions in the storyline. I don't know why they felt they had to go that way when there was a perfectly good storyline to follow along, but whatever. That aside, it was really weird because we have a 4K television watching this really old movie. Now it's been digitally remastered and all that kind of stuff.
There's just only so much they can do.
There's only so much they can do. And so I'm watching this movie and I'm like, this is just weird because it's like Jack Nicholson's in my living room.
Yeah.
I'm not, and maybe that would have been true regardless of what kind of TV I watched it on, but I never felt like it was Jack Torrance,
Yeah.
I never felt like I was sucked into it. It was just like, this guy's just weird.
I wonder if some of that was just, you saw it when you did.
It could be. I mean, because I went through a stint last year. I love scary movies. I haven't actually been scared by a movie in at least a decade. The last movie that legitimately scared me was I watched Paranormal Activity, the original movie, by myself at like 2:00 in the morning. Because that's what I used to do. I used to work till all hours of the night and I'd have my computer and I'd watch whatever movies and whatever. And this was back when I got it on a disc from Netflix when they were still mailing discs. And for whatever reason, 5 minutes into that movie, my computer was to the side. I was completely engrossed in it. And then it ended. I was tired and I could not turn off the lights for like 2 weeks. Yeah. Like literally I slept with a nightlight. But that's really the last time I've been legitimately scared by a movie. So I was curious because everybody talks about all these movies from the 70s, right? Rosemary's Baby and how terrifying that was, and The Shining and the Poltergeist and The Exorcist.
Yep.
So last November, I went on this sort of like 70s and 80s scary movie binge. Not one of those things scared me. Now, The Exorcist was probably the most terrifying book I've ever read in my life. And again, I ended up finishing it like 2:00 in the morning in a hotel room by myself and thinking that was really stupid because then I had to sleep with the TV on all night. And so I had pretty high expectations, especially because a man who I love and treasure and respect very dearly said it was the scariest movie he had ever seen. Now, he saw it at a drive-in in 1979 or whatever when it came out.
David?
No. This is Jack Thompson.
Oh, okay.
And he likes to go to scary movies with me because most of the time we end up laughing.
Right.
I mean, we just like stuff will happen and everybody, and we look at each other. We're like, oh my God, really?
Saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah, exactly. And so I watched The Exorcist with some pretty high expectations. No.
What you don't want to do is see The Exorcist when you're 6 years old and you've grown up in a very Southern Baptist household and being told all your life that the devil is real. Yes, it was.
That would be terrifying. Yeah. Yeah.
But I see what you mean about the video, about how good it looks. Because I remember seeing back, I think 2011, 2012, the first Hobbit movie.
Yeah.
And I saw it in the 60 frames per second or the 48 frame. And I just did not like it at all. It was like watching, because you remember back in the day,
I can see that spirit gum you used to stick that beard on you.
It was a little bit of that, but also just the smooth. There was no motion blur of any kind, which we naturally, I think, still see motion blur. Right. There was none there. But also what it reminded me of is back in the day when I was a kid and my grandmothers would watch soap operas, and soap operas were always filmed at a higher frame rate for some reason.
Right.
And I was like, this is like watching a nerd soap opera, and it's not.
A ton of light.
It has to do with the lighting and the frame rates and stuff. And I remember the story of how Desi Arnaz, that's why they started their own studio was he wanted to use film quality. He wanted to use film quality equipment, and the studio wouldn't do it. And that's why the I Love Lucy episodes are in such good shape now. When they play them, it's really, really clear.
Oh.
But that's why they formed Desilu Studios, was because the studio said, we're not going to invest that kind of money in a television show.
Oh,
and he insisted.
He was much more forward thinking, realizing probably there would be something like syndication.
Yeah, the quality of those episodes is so much better still today because of the equipment they used. And I remember how it was always so weird when the Brady Bunch or Happy Days, when they'd have one of those vacation episodes.
Oh yeah, and they were outside.
It was completely different from what you were used to, and it was like you like new. And every once in a while, I'll turn and look at the TV screen, and I'll feel like, what? This must be a special episode because I can see the lighting is somewhat different somehow about it. And, you know, and it's weird how we pick up on those things, even though we don't focus on them, but we pick up on them.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the mood, the feel of it. But I mean, sometimes I love, even on Netflix on my smart TV, there's some movies that, like the other night I put one, I was like, put my glasses on, like, this is in horrible quality. I didn't mind.
Yeah.
It's an older movie, and it was like, you know, the movie's still there. It's still a good movie. It's still good acting. In some ways, one could say that, you know, all of the effects, all of the video that has been improved on is making up for stories and acting and characters. Yeah. Because maybe people are running out of ideas. You know, after a while, you just start maybe running out of ideas. But it seems like we focused more on the character development and, oh, I hate that guy. Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, this is such a good story.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? This started sometime in the last decade or so, but there's this spin around where it used to be, you know, when we were kids, Disney, there was a good guy and a bad guy. And the bad guy was always the bad guy, and they were vanquished at the end, and that was happy. Now we've turned it around where we care about the bad guy and what is his motive behind the thing. And now we're making it relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember reading Wicked. That was the very first, that was like revolutionary when he wrote that book, because it was all about the perspective of the witch from the time she was born until the incidents and events that led up to.
I didn't realize that was a book.
It was a book. Yeah, it was a book first. And then he wrote one about the ugly stepsisters that was from their perspective. I never read that one. I can't remember his name right now. It's Daniel something.
Okay.
I'll think of it. But Daniel
he
McGuire.
flips it around, and it's from the perspective of the villain instead of
yes. And in fact, what happens is, especially with Wicked, that's such an evil to the core character that has been in our collective psyche for over 100 years. Okay. You love her.
Yeah.
She's born, and you watch how much her parents don't understand. Why is she green? It's so weird. Nobody else is green. Like, you know, in all the different races and areas of Munchkin Land and the Land of Oz, and nobody else is green. It's like this weird thing. And why that? And so they don't understand her, and she's got super sharp milk teeth. And so she's constantly like gnawing off her own skin on her hands. You know how babies stick their hands in their mouths, and like, so everybody's sort of like averse to her. And so she grows up feeling like something's wrong with her, and how much she loves her sister, who's the Wicked Witch of
Glinda,
the East, who no, Glinda's one of her friends.
Oh, the Good Witch, yeah.
Yeah, no, the Wicked Witch of the East is her sister, and their relationship, and like, and then how she meets Glinda. They meet at school, they meet at college, and how they aren't really friends because she's like the weird outcast and Glinda's the popular girl, you know, and then how they sort of become like these two little planets in orbit around each other because they really are a lot more alike than they think, because Glinda really does care. I mean, so it's this whole story, so that by the time you get to the thing that is the thing that we know from our childhood, from our collective psyche about Dorothy and the tornado and the Wicked Witch, by the time that's the last 25 pages of the book.
Right.
And you're like heartbroken over the whole thing, you know? And
I think I've mentioned it to you, but another book that's a lot like that is The Mists of Avalon.
Okay.
Which is the Arthurian legend told from Morgana's point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
Told from the women's point of view, but she's kind of the main protagonist.
Yeah. Maleficent.
Again, Maleficent, yep.
Was another,
Yep.
that was Sleeping Beauty. I mean, the dragon was evil and they slayed the dragon. And this now takes us from a whole different thing where Maleficent was behind the dragon and she loved this girl. I mean, it's just like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how they're.
It's way interesting, but
twists.
It's created this muddled line between like good and evil.
But I think they're just being more realistic then,
Probably.
There's never been such a thing as this clear black and white, you're evil and you're good. I mean, it's like I say, Hitler thought he was doing good.
I know.
He really did, right? I mean, he was obviously a horrible person, but he wasn't pure evil.
Right.
He had pets and he had a wife and that sort of thing. So,
can you imagine being the wife of Hitler?
It didn't turn out well for her, so no.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. Well, anyway. All right. Anything else? That
was a diversion.
Hey, this episode was called Random Postulations. We started out with tech news and sort of wandered into entertainment and, it was fun and entertaining and exactly what we set out to do. So we're going to call it a win. For Grant, Daryl, and Cynthia from Raika Technologies, this is the Raika Show, and we will see you guys next time.